What's up, everybody? Lyft just reported their quarter four earnings. Clearly, the market didn't like it because the stock was down about 17% on the day. It's been quite a while since we've talked about Lyft stock on the channel. I think the last time was about 5 or 6 months ago when the stock was also, I believe, about $14 a share. Now, for those of you who don't know, I own Lyft stock. I've almost owned it for a year. I bought in the second quarter of 2025. My average cost basis is in the 12s. And due to the increase in price, at one point in September, Lyft was one of my top 3 holdings in my portfolio. In late September, I wrote on Discord at the time that I had trimmed my Lyft position. I thought risk reward didn't look as good with the increase in stock price. Obviously, looking at the price today, I wish I just sold my entire position, but I don't have a crystal ball. I've still done well by Lyft stock, and all that we can decide is what does the risk reward look like today at the price that we are offered right now in the market. So let's take a look at these earnings, and I want to decide what should I do with my Lyft position. Should I buy more now that the price is down? Should I sell out? Should I just hold here? As always, nothing here is advice to buy or sell Lyft stock. I just give you my opinion, and I will tell you what I'm doing with my money. If you get value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to make spreadsheets like this, join my Discord, or just support what I do, consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. Now, let's get into Lyft. And if you live in the US or Canada, I'm sure you know what Lyft is. If you don't, Lyft is the number 2 player in this ride-sharing marketplace, obviously after Uber, who is the big boy here. And over the past decade, Lyft has grown their top line extremely well while also improving their profitability. They're really just becoming profitable on a GAAP basis, although they have been profitable on a cash flow basis for a couple years now. But as you may know, if you follow the channel, free cash flow does not take share-based compensation into account. So when I look at free cash flow, I'm really always looking at what I call adjusted free cash flow. And the adjustment I make is I subtract out share-based compensation from that reported free cash flow. If a company is giving out a ton of stock to employees, that's fine. That's their decision on how they get to reward their staff. But me, as someone who wants to own equity in the company, I need to take that into account. And like many tech companies, share-based compensation for Lyft has historically been extremely high. Now, one thing I do like, David Risher, when he became CEO in 2023, he really started to hone in the share-based compensation. It's come down quite a bit. Now at $300 million in that stock-based compensation, it's still pretty high. I mean, that's about 5-ish% of revenue, but relative to what it was before, this is a lot better. And in fact, Lyft has started to use some of their cash to return value to shareholders in the form of buybacks. So previously, while this stock-based compensation was really diluting shares, over the past year, total shares has started to come down. Right now, it's sitting at just about 400 million shares. So top line's growing, margins are expanding, capital is being returned to shareholders. As a multiple of cash flow, the company is really quite cheap. They have a $5.5 billion market cap at current prices, but because they have a net cash position, their enterprise value is under $5 billion right now. And again, if you compare that to their adjusted free cash flow, over 700 million, actually close to 800 million, I don't have the most recent quarter in here, then Lyft stock is only trading for about 7-ish times adjusted free cash flow. That sounds reasonable, but let's dive into this most recent report and see what we think the future is going to look like for Lyft. Now, one thing I don't necessarily love about Lyft is just the way they report data. There's always some number or always some metric where I just have to go look up, how are they getting this metric or where is this number coming from? How are they defining this term? For example, they talk about active riders. They say this was a record quarter for active riders, but actually in the beginning of 2025, they changed the definition of what an active rider was, and they didn't go back and retroactively apply this change to previous data. So, it looks like active riders are up 18-ish% year over year. Meanwhile, the rides themselves, we see we're up 14%, 15%, and then this quarter up 11% year over year. So the growth in rides is moderating a little bit, but it looks like the growth in riders is accelerating. However, I think a lot of this is due to the fact that they've just changed the definition of riders and they put it in small print at the bottom of this slide. That's definitely a bit of a no-no. And also, they focus a lot on adjusted EBITDA and adjusted EBITDA margins. Many companies do this, but the late Charlie Munger used to call adjusted EBITDA nonsense earnings. I actually think he had somewhat more colorful language for it. But the point is, adjusted EBITDA is a made-up up metric by the company to make their profitability look better. In this case, one big thing they're adding back in is share-based compensation, which is a real expense to investors. The real margins are lower, but at least in this case, it seems like they're mostly being consistent in their definition of adjusted EBITDA quarter over quarter, so we can at least compare the progress. And we see both adjusted EBITDA, the number itself, and also the margin, the percent that is of gross bookings. They've both been going up pretty nicely. And speaking of gross bookings, it was a record year for them. They grew 19% year over year, over $5 billion in gross bookings. However, they did acquire FreeNow, a European taxi hailing service, and that's now being included in these gross booking numbers. So the organic growth is not as high as they're reporting here. I wish they reported gross bookings growth excluding that FreeNow acquisition. Instead, I just kind of have to estimate it. I think it's probably having about a 5% impact. So I think this is more like up 14% year over year, excluding that. Another number that's a bit unusual, this revenue number is only up 3% year over year. And they say that's because it includes a $168 million impact from certain legal, tax, and regulatory reserve changes and settlements. Without the impact of this, revenue would have been $1.8 billion. It actually would have been $1.76 billion. That's some rather optimistic rounding on their part. Maybe they're just trying to make the number sound better because a lot of the numbers on this screen have a bit more precision than that. In any case, they're saying if it wasn't for this $168 million adjustment, then it would have been a record quarter for revenue as well, 13 to 14% growth. I wanted to find more details on this $168 million, what exactly this was for, and I was a bit surprised to discover that they don't really go into detail on this. There's no extra information anywhere in their 10K. On the call, there wasn't an analyst who asked specifically about this. The best that we got was the CFO, who said that there was a one-time impact totaling $210 million under the category of certain legal, tax, and regulatory reserve changes. And it's important to note that $168 million of that impacted revenue. I reached out to investor relations on exactly what this number was related to. So if I get a decent answer, I'll probably put that down in a pinned comment below. Looking at the numbers, I do think it probably is a one-time event, a one-time hit, because revenue has been about 34 to 36% of gross bookings. This quarter really is an outlier. If you add back in that $168 million, it brings the revenue as a percent of gross bookings just under 35%, pretty much in line with what I would expect. But I'd still like more clarity here. In any case, top line, I think growing about 13 to 14%, less than what they're reporting for 19% gross bookings growth. Now, on the bottom line, there's another couple numbers that are going to stand out. First of all, they reported negative income from operations for this quarter, and a lot of that is because of that $168 million adjustment to revenue. But the big number here that's going to pop out is this $2.9 billion accounting benefit for taxes. This is an accounting adjustment, and it makes it look like they earned just an absurd amount of money for the quarter. Obviously, Lyft didn't really have half of their market cap in earnings for one quarter. So what's going on here is Lyft has been losing money, as we said, for many years. Their net income has been negative. They're just flipping into profitability. So when you have a bunch of losses, you can carry those losses forward into future years to offset a potential tax burden. You may hear companies sometimes talk about NOLs or net operating losses, which are effectively an asset because you can use it against future tax liability. However, there's a bunch of accounting rules that go into, when you're actually allowed to put these assets on your books. If a company might not consistently generate a profit in the future, then it's possible that you may never be able to use that asset. So companies without a reasonable expectation of future profitability are not allowed to put those assets on their books. Well, now that Lyft is flipping into profitability, I guess their accounting team decided that they meet the standards to put all those past net operating losses into the assets column in their balance sheet. And that's why it's hitting the income statement in this quarter. But just so you know, this is only an accounting gain. This really has nothing to do with the operations of the business in this quarter. If you want to look at cash flow for profitability instead, over $1.1 billion in free cash flow. That sounds amazing. When you net out share-based compensation, this is still close to $800 million in free cash flow. And that is overstating profitability a bit. When you have more rides, they have to account for a larger potential liability in insurance reserves. That's not being counted in cash flow here. That is likely a real expense down the road, and it would significantly eat into this free cash flow figure. Still, the trend here is very promising, and Lyft is deciding to use this cash, as we said, to return value to shareholders in the form of buybacks. They just announced a new $1 billion share repurchase program with this earnings report, and that sounds like a pretty good use of capital to me. They bought back about 4% of shares net of share-based compensation over the past year, and if the price stays around here, I think they should probably continue doing that. Now, getting to their guidance, they say we remain on track to achieve our long-term targets. They set out targets for 2027 of $25 billion in gross bookings and $1 billion in adjusted EBITDA with 4% adjusted EBITDA margins. These are all pretty aggressive goals. By my measure, I think they're slightly shy of being on track to hit these targets. If they do hit this, the stock is just ridiculously undervalued today at current prices, but I'm not really assuming they're going to quite meet management's expectations here. I think they're a little optimistic. As far as guidance for next quarter, it's a little bit softer than I think what a lot of analysts wanted. 17 to 20% gross bookings growth sounds great. Remember, again, because they have free now in this quarter, I think the actual organic growth year over year is more like 12 to 15%. That's still decent. Notably, it's a little bit less than Uber. This quarter is going to be a bit affected by the crazy ice storm we've had in the US and Canada that probably really reduced demand for a week or two. And since there's only like 13 weeks in a quarter, that could be, 10 to 15% of the quarter that's affected by that. And finally, one more thing I want to talk about before we go to our sheet is autonomous vehicles, because I think this is a risk that a lot of people see for a company like Lyft, is that autonomous vehicles are going to come in, self-driving cars, and that's really going to hurt profits for Lyft. And I just don't see it that way. Lyft is doing partnerships with AV companies. They have a partnership with Baidu. They're partnering with Waymo. That's coming to Nashville in 2026. They're also building out FlexDrive, which are these garages in a bunch of cities to manage the fleet of autonomous vehicles, deal with charging and cleaning. Overall, I think AVs could increase the total addressable market for rideshare a bit, and also could be a tailwind for margins for companies like Lyft and Uber. And with that, I think it's time we go to our sheet and see what we could expect for a return on our investment in Lyft stock today. My base case, I'm assuming 10% revenue growth every year for 5 years. Remember, I'm estimating they're doing about 13-14% of organic revenue growth right now. Operating margins, I'm assuming that gets to 7%. This would be significantly lower than Uber is right now. Free cash flow margin, this is the money that could come back to us shareholders in the form of buybacks. For 2025, this was a bit over $300 million net of the stock-based compensation. So for 2026, I'm actually assuming it's going to be lower than that. And then I'm building that up a bit as profitability increases. And as far as a multiple, I'm giving this company a 14 times multiple, which I think is fair. They have a strong balance sheet, growth is good, it's an asset-light business, and if these assumptions come true, you're looking at an 18% annualized return over 5 years, more than a double on your money. Now, my bear case, I'm assuming that growth is going to slow down 9% next year, dropping all the way down to 6%. Operating margins of 5%. This is a scenario when they just have to compete so aggressively with Uber on price and incentives, and they're just never able to achieve good profitability. Free cash flow margin, I brought back significantly, and I'm only giving this company a 12 times multiple. They still have a very strong balance sheet. They still have a net cash position, and they're still growing. So I think even in a bear case, 12 times multiple is probably fair, and this would give you a 3% annualized return over 5 years. Now, my bull case, this is pretty close to what the management is guiding for. They're saying mid-teens growth on the top line. I'm giving them 14% every year for 5 years. Operating margins of 9%. Remember, their guidance is by 2027, they're going to have 4% adjusted EBITDA margin. And that 4% is 4% of gross bookings, which is more like 11 to 12% of revenue. If they're even close to on track for this, hitting 9% operating margin by 2030 should be easy. Free cash flow margin, again, I'm bringing up as profitability improves, and I'm giving the company a 20 times multiple, which if they really are hitting double-digit growth with improving profitability for a company like this, I think a 20 times multiple is reasonable. And in this scenario, you are getting an absolutely incredible 37% annualized return. This would be almost a 5x on your money over 5 years. This means in 2030, Lyft stock would be $60 some a share. That would be an incredible return. I just want to remind people that when Lyft IPO'd, their shares were in the 70s. In 2021, the shares were also in that $60 range, and then they really fell off a cliff. I think a lot of shareholders have given up on Lyft. They've written the company off. But just to give you a sense of how quickly sentiment can change, over the past year, the stock has been everywhere from $10 up to $25. And realistically, there hasn't been all that much that has changed about the company in this time. Many investors are very short-term focused. When the stock was $20, $25 a share, there was a decent amount of enthusiasm that I was seeing about Lyft. Analysts were upping their price targets. Now the stock is back down. And as far as what I think about Lyft stock today, I think at this price, the risk reward is pretty good. Again, my average cost basis for the shares that I still hold is in the 12s. So you can imagine I like the stock at that price. If Lyft goes back to, that $20, $25 a share range, I'm probably not a buyer. Again, none of this is advice for you to buy or sell Lyft. I'm just giving you my opinion. And as far as what I'm doing with my money here today, I'm probably doing nothing. I'm certainly not going to sell. I might re-up my Lyft position, and then if it gets back to that 20-ish range, I might trim it again. Not sure. There are other attractive options in the market right now. If I end up deciding to buy more or doing something else, I'll probably put it in a video at some point on YouTube. And with that, I think we'll end here. If you got value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to join my Discord, grab my template here, or just support what I do, consider following me on Patreon. Link to that will be down below. Also, down below, let me know in a comment, what do you think of Lyft stock? What are you doing with it if you already own a position? And I hope to see you all in another video.